Today we gather, through memory, through art, and through heartfelt remembrance, to reflect on the life of James Ransone, a gifted actor whose work touched so many. James passed away at the age of 46 in Los Angeles on December 19, 2025, and his death was ruled a suicide. James Finley Ransone III was born on June 2, 1979 in Baltimore, Maryland, a city known for its gritty realism, deep culture, and strong characters. Like the very stories he would come to tell on screen, his beginnings were rooted in real life, in community, and in the art that surrounded him in his youth. From the earliest days, James showed a creative spirit. He attended the George Washington Carver Center for Arts and Technology, a school where passionate young artists learned craft and discipline in theater, visual arts, and performance. That environment shaped him, not just as an actor, but as a storyteller. He went on to study at the School of Visual Arts in Manhattan, driven by ambition, curiosity, and a thirst for understanding the deeper language of film. But after a year, he left, not out of failure, but out of necessity to find his own path. He spent much of his 20s in New York City, working various creative jobs, exploring photography, immersing himself in art, and simply learning life. James's journey to acting wasn't always smooth. Like many artists, he faced personal battles that shaped him deeply. In his early adult life, he struggled with heroin addiction, sinking into a difficult period where his life veered off the road he'd imagined. It was a challenge he fought through, ultimately finding sobriety and a renewed sense of purpose. His career began humbly, with small parts in independent films, television guest spots, and a resilience that reflected his personal grit. But it wasn't long before his talent, raw, authentic, and unmistakable, began to shine. His first breakthrough came in 2003 when he was cast as Chester Ziggy Sobotka in Season 2 of HBO's The Wire. The Wire, now widely considered one of the greatest television dramas ever made, was more than just a show about crime and institutions. It was about the people inside those systems, about humanity in tension with circumstance. And Ziggy Sobotka, wild, vulnerable, unpredictable, was one of those unforgettable characters. Through his portrayal, James captured the humor, desperation, and profound sadness of a man trying to find his place in a world that didn't always make room for him. His performance was not only compelling, it was compassionate. That role opened doors, but it wasn't the beginning of his versatility, it was merely the start. James went on to build a career filled with diverse and memorable work. In Generation Kill, he brought to life Corporal Josh Ray Person, a Marine navigating war with equal parts bravado and vulnerability. He appeared in HBO's Treme and Bosch, and over time his film resume grew to include a wide range of genres. James could play tough, he could play tender, and perhaps most noticeably, he could delve into the darker corners of the human experience with honesty and fearlessness. He became well known in the horror genre, not just as a character actor, but as someone who brought depth and nuance to roles that could easily have been flat or one-dimensional. In Sinister and Sinister 2, he grounded the supernatural with real human tension. In It, Chapter 2, James took on the role of Eddie Kasprak, the older version of a beloved character, navigating fear and childhood trauma with emotional resonance. His portrayal struck a chord with audiences who saw in him more than just a horror actor, but a true craftsman of human stories. Another role that reached audiences far and wide was Max in The Black Phone, a character steeped in intensity and fear, yet delivered with a grounded performance that made even the supernatural feel real. And in the sequel, Black Phone 2, released in 2025, his presence remained a powerful thread in that cinematic world. But beyond the roles, the credits, the memorable scenes, and the applause, James was also a man who carried his own story with remarkable honesty. In May 2021, he shared publicly that he had been sexually abused as a child. It was a brave and painful revelation, a testament to his willingness to confront even the darkest parts of his past out loud, in front of a world that often avoids such conversations. He spoke openly about how trauma, addiction, and recovery shaped not just his life, but his relationship with art and expression. Many found hope in his candor, seeing in his journey a reflection of their own struggles and resilience. At the core, James Ransone was more than the characters he played. He was a husband, a father, and a deeply thoughtful human being. He is survived by his wife, Jamie McPhee, and their 2 children, relationships that he cherished and protected away from the glare of publicity. In remembering James, colleagues, fans, and friends have spoken of his warmth off camera, his generosity on set, and the way he treated every project like a shared journey. He wasn't just a performer, he was a collaborator, a comrade, and in many ways, family. His death reminds us that talent, success, and love do not always shield us from pain. It brings into sharp focus the importance of compassion, empathy, and active support for one another, especially in moments when the world feels heavy and the mind feels overwhelmed. Today we reflect on a life that, while ended too soon, gave so much to those who watched, who listened, and who felt seen through his work. James Ransone's legacy will live on in his performances, in the courage he showed in his art and in his life. He was a performer who walked into shadows so that others could see the light. He was a storyteller who reminded us of the complexity of being human, and he was a friend, partner, and father whose love mattered deeply to those closest to him.